Hey guys, this is the Smut,
Faith, and Everything Life podcast.
We're your host. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Marie.
And this week we will be reviewing The Ritual by Shantel Tessier.
I got all kinds of feels, girl. I can't even.
We have not discussed this, but at all.
And we'll get to the but at all eventually.
First of all, I both read this and listened to it.
Same.
I had an issue with his voice. It sounded so automated.
I didn't have an issue with his voice per se,
or the way he read it. I don't know.
His voice seems very mature. I would have expected him to be like a dad voice.
Yeah.
Like an older person.
The voice gave me, I'm a huge, buff, hatted, rough-looking dude with a huge beard. Like, I'll just fuck you up.
Okay. It just gave me an older person vibe, but I can definitely see what you said too, for sure.
And it makes me wonder in the rest of the books, do they use a different voice for the different guys? I'm not sure.
But I'm glad I read and listened to it.
Oh, I love the way that it was narrated, though.
Yes.
That's how I feel all audiobooks should be. He says his parts, she says hers.
Yes.
Love that. Okay. I rated this a 4.5. For spicy, I rated it a 4.
Well, I may surprise you. Possibly. We'll see. So I rated this an overall 4.7. That's my highest rating yet.
I would have given it a 5, but had a little ick sometimes. And it's not with what you think. It's the way it was worded. The verbiage. Why would you use that word? Can we switch it up?
My spice was only a 4.
That's what mine was.
There's a lot of repetition in it.
Yeah.
That's what knocked it down for me.
Yeah. When it's just like that one-on-one, you can't go much higher. You know, like when you get into I choose or the multiple partners.
Well, hang on a second.
That's when your spice rating really climbs.
I have to say that Little Blakely, that girl, very experimental.
I was very shocked by that. For her to be a virgin and jump right into...
Well, she even said
she wanted to be dominated.
Yes, and does that make sense to you? You have been dominated your entire life. Every decision has always been made for you, and you want to be dominated in the bedroom as well?
We're not thinking about her life, about her parents controlling her life. If we're thinking about the boyfriend she's always had, who Sarah refers to as a pussy, yeah, she wants to be dominated.
I get that. That I get.
Because it doesn't make sense that she makes this choice, which it is her choice. She then decides to...
she's manipulated into the choice.
That's sure it was her choice. She decides to be a chosen one, knowing nothing about it. And it's her choice.
She did ask, are you going to hurt me? And he said, yes,
but I'm going to make you like it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But anyways, so let's jump into it.
Okay, so first of all, we had to be explained what the Lords were and Riot's initiation, how he got into it, etc. Because I'm like, the fuck is a Lord series?
And Lord. So you have L is for leader, believe in order, R knows when to rule, and D is for is a D. And then you have loyalty, devotion, commitment, nothing except their life will suffice.
The first dark romance I read, they didn't kill anyone. This guy kills people and he likes it. And I was like, okay, we going that way. I did not think it was too dark. I never needed a break. I was like, tell me more.
And I didn't think this was, maybe I'm becoming morbid. I think I'm like slowly getting there. Like I know it's screwed up. I do. But I read the trigger warnings, and that's why I was very hesitant about this. I usually don't read the reviews, but there are so many people talking about stuff. I don't like detailed rape. Like, if you want to mention rape, that's fine, but I don't like a detailed rape. So a lot of the reviews were like, she gets raped by all these guys. And I'm like, first off, she doesn't get raped by anybody. Spoiler, she doesn't get raped. It's different what she does like, but
yes,
we'll get to that. I would definitely read the trigger warnings because if you have triggering effects, this could trigger it, especially the detail. The scenario is different than somebody actually being raped. And that's where I was okay with it.
So we see Riot's initiation, and during one of those years of his initiation, we see Matt and Riot go on their first assignment.
Well, and so before we dive into that, your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year each represent something.
Their first year of initiation
Is loyalty. He kills a lord who betrayed them. Then his sophomore year is devotion, and he kills a fellow initiate because they have to fight against each other.
Mhm.
Junior year, he is commitment, and this is when him and Matt go on an assignment to kill a lord. They don't know why. It was a hit, and for whatever reason, they go there to kill him, and his sleeping wife is beside him.
Yeah, they pretty much know if they're killing someone, they betrayed the oath.
This is when I was reading this, I was like, shit, this is gonna be the first fucking rape scene, isn't it?
I know, I thought the same thing, and then she ran, and we're assuming that he kills herself.
Riot goes right to the guy, pops him in the head, he's dead.
And Matt's lingering over the
And he's like, we've got to go. Let's go. This is our assignment. It's completed. We leave. And he's like, I just want to look at her titties. And he grabbed one of her titties and he's like, I'm going to fuck her. He's like, no, you're going to rape her. And that's not our assignment. Let's go. And he's like, it's bullshit that they get to dictate what we can and can't do. And I was like, I hate this dude.
And you don't even know it at this point, but they are made to abstain from sex for the 3 years of their initiation.
They get their chosen senior year, and they're branded with the Lord crest on their chest is when they can finally start having sex.
They try to get Riot to rat him out, which he's in a catch-22 there because if he ratted him out,
they would have killed him.
It's
like, I'm no fucking snitch. So it's a turmoil between Matt and him after that. Because Matt's like, what did you tell him? And he's like, I didn't tell him anything. And even if I did, it's none of your damn business kind of thing. And so they just never got along. So after he's officially branded, he gets his first assignment. And of all assignments, he is told that he's not allowed to choose his chosen. His chosen is chose for him
by a lord that he has never really met before. Doesn't really know who he is. And he's confused. He's like, I can't choose her. Or are you saying no?
No.
She already belongs to someone.
The next scene
is when I officially meet Blakely. First of all, Blakely came off to me as a bit of a dumb blonde, but she was brunette.
Blakely came off to me like a scholarship kid, like
she's so smart that she's got no common sense.
Well, it's like she's there around all these wealthy kids, but she's not wealthy because of how she's like talking about other kids and how rich they are. And then you turn around and she's rich. And I'm like, what?
And you find out Barrington is a school that all the trouble kids go to, but their parents are rich, so they pretty much buy them in.
Yeah.
And she wanted to attend Stanford.
Yeah, so
she's obviously smart.
She got into Stanford.
She's like oblivious. It's like she's oblivious to life.
She made one more comment about it. If I would have just thought about it, it would have made complete sense. I'm like, how many times do you have to, if I would have thought about it, until you start actually thinking about it?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so immediately she runs into Riot.
Literally. So hard that she falls
and her books scatter.
She falls straight on her ass and is just looking up at him.
My favorite thing was she's like, holds her hand up. He just stares at her. She's like, okay, that's how this is going to go.
And then in rushes Matt. He's like, what the fuck? Riot? And he says, keep your bitch on a leash. Otherwise, one may assume she's a stray. And well, let's just say you of all people should know that someone may choose to take her from you. And so she's like, what the fuck?
Matt picks her up and he's, the fuck did he say to you? And she's like, nothing. Because really, he didn't
say anything.
Immediately, I was like, is this the same fucking Matt?
Yeah. And then he keeps telling her to stay away from him.
And the House of Lords, he's never let her use.
Yes. And he's like, not believing her. Why would he have just come here? Why would he have said anything to you? Blah, blah. She's like, I have never met him before. And he doesn't believe her. I'm like, you. So go to class, and her best friend, Sarah's there. And she's like, hey, girl, look what I found. It's a flyer.
A secret society party that has a flyer. I was immediately like,
what?
That has to be the only one in existence, right? Because
why isn't there more? And how do you just randomly find one of these flyers to these parties?
Right.
And then the girl in front of them was like, don't go.
And that's when they find out about Tyson and his chosen. He tied her up to his bed and he left her there
on a live feed. I would be so fucking pissed. I'm just telling you. You tie me up face down on a bed and you leave me there all motherfucking day. I can't pee.
Tyson left her there.
I know. And then he comes home and he's there for the whole world to see. Do you know how bad I have to pee? I go dick all the fuck over it.
He might get off on that.
Not into golden showers.
He might be.
He's a kinky motherfucker.
They'll seem to have BDSM in them. So. Sarah wants to go to this party still, even after the girl in front of them warns them not to. Blakely's like, I could use a little action in my life, but Matt's like, stay the fuck away. I already didn't like Matt. But why are you dating him?
You get your first tidbit into their relationship because they're family friends and they were pretty much forced into a relationship, especially by, her mom pretty much saying that they're going to get married. It's just a matter of when, and a date set for right after graduation. It's already planned.
Yeah, they have an arranged marriage, which she says is common in their society.
You see that Riot is stalking her. He is trying to find her routine or lack thereof. And he is thinking to himself, he's just going to have fun with her pretty much. He's going to fuck every aspect of her body and ruin her before she goes to marry Matt in a loveless marriage, which he just thinks seems perfect. He's outside her apartment building and she has got sheer curtains and she's walking around her apartment naked. And then she goes into a shower and afterwards he proceeds to jerk off because,
dude, I was so conflicted on how to feel about this because part of me was like, oh my God, I have the ick. And the other part of me was like, oh, why do I not completely have the ick?
Same girl. I had a lot of emotions in this book that confused me because I was like, that is not okay. Why am I a little damn? Why do I like it? This is not okay. I feel like her in her fantasy. Like, this is not okay. Why do I like it? Matt tells her that he's going out of town and stay out of trouble. Don't go anywhere. She's to stay home. And he's going to visit his family, which she thought was weird because they always go together. And he's like, leaving Friday and I'll be back until Sunday or Monday.
Please believe everything this fucking man said.
Best friend Sarah, who, she's a little crazy.
I loved when Sarah was like, how bad could this party be? It's the Lord's party and Matt's a part of it and he's a fucking pussy.
And she says,
she's right.
Because he acts like it. He plays his part so well.
I honestly feel like their relationship is,
besides toxic, what?
Well, you can tell she is just a chore for him. You can tell that.
I think he has been grooming her to be a submissive, never showing her attention, never doing anything for her, making her work for all of his praises.
My question was, she makes the comment multiple times, like, I've thrown myself at Matt and he always turns me down. They've obviously messed around.
Yeah.
But we don't know how far what that means.
He shames her in every aspect of her sexuality.
He basically is pushing him off of her, saying, why are you trying to fuck me? You're being a slut.
Yeah.
But so if they take this oath and they're supposed to abstain for 3 years, why was he so willing to rape that woman in front of Riot, but he won't have sex with Blakely? Is he truly disgusted by her?
No, I think that was more towards Riot when you find out later on. It wouldn't have surprised me. He raped her and was hoping that Riot would go along with it and then him kill Riot and say that Riot raped her.
Man, I didn't even think about that. But they were supposed to be friends at first.
I know, but do you really ever have friends in the Lords? Everyone's your competition.
I'm sorry, but Riot and Tyson are friends.
Yeah, but Tyson's also 3 years older than him, too.
Okay. I can see that. I was just very confused about he literally abstained from sex with Blakely.
It didn't make sense to me at first when I read it. For that reason, I'm like, I don't understand. I just thought that it was like a get back at the Lords of why he was wanting to rape her. He's like, fuck it, I just can't take it anymore. And then later on in the story, you find out more and more. And then towards the end, I'm like, I wonder if he was trying to rape and kill her and then turn around and kill Riot and blame it on that Riot was raping her and he killed her.
Well, why didn't he blame it on Riot for her being dead?
Because Riot, the whole thing about being lords is snitches get stitches, bullet, you know?
Yeah. That's just, I didn't understand that part. Okay, so,
Because neither one of them talked about it.
no. So we just said it, she, fell over the banister and she was dead. What happened next?
They go to the party.
They go to the party.
Sarah convinces her. She's like, fuck it, fuck Matt. He's a pussy. So they get to the party. Let's talk about how they have to turn in their keys and cell phones.
Yeah, first, if I had to go in and I had to give you everything of mine just to enter this party, I think I would have left. I'm not that fucking brave.
I'm sorry, you are not taking my lifeline for emergencies. Not happening.
That dreams, like, is somebody gonna kill me in here?
You want to know why we feel like that? Because we read shit like that.
Lightly clearly has never read Dark Romance, and she doesn't know that bad things happen to good people.
But she does. That's what's fucked up about it. And she even said that she's not comfortable with Sarah's like, hey, come here.
Sarah gives no fucks.
You find out Sarah is one of those kids thriving for parents' attention. She went to multiple rehabs, and then 18, her parents like, oh, not my problem.
Yeah, that's true. She is very reckless.
So, but she's always there too for Blakely. So there's that.
And she doesn't judge her at all. I do really like Sarah.
I do too. I think she needs therapy, but I definitely
do. They all
and the whole
need therapy. The whole book is full of toxic people.
The whole time she's looking around and she feels someone staring at her, and she sees all the lords
First of all,
have masks on and cloaks on so they don't know their faces, but she keeps seeing one in particular throughout the whole party. And then all of a sudden she gets yanked around.
Did Matt have a mask on?
He did, but he pulled it up.
Pulled it off. That's right. Well, seeing Matt with his girlfriend, do we think if Blakely was supposed to be Matt's chosen and he was supposed to marry her, this is already arranged within the lords, right? Or is it just arranged within her mom's doings? Because both of their fathers are a part of the lords, so both families know that he's marrying her. My question is, was Matt cheating on her with this other girl and he was intending on choosing her anyway? Or was he just fucking this other girl? Or did he not want Blakely around the Lord's party, and the only reason being because he had a girlfriend within the Lords?
I think the lords are all intertwined together. They knew that he was going to want to choose Blakely. And so they took that choice from him and said that he couldn't choose Blakely. He had a list that he could choose. Blakely was not on there.
But he could still marry her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he can still marry her. But she couldn't be his chosen.
She gets pissed off. She cannot believe Matt's cheating on her, but I'm really glad she wasn't in love with Matt, because she would have been super heartbroken.
She has always said from the very beginning that she didn't love him, and that's why she didn't care.
I know. I'm glad that she didn't love him, because finding out that he was cheating on her would have sent her in a different spiral.
Yeah, instead she just got drunk and randomly walks into some
guy's
bedroom that, ironically,
the most
right.
She walks into the most random room and happens to be Riot.
She doesn't know that. But then, this is how fucked up the girl is that some masked man comes up, handcuffs her, throws her on the bed, and proceeds to...
He did ask her permission.
I know, I'm just saying. She lets him do all this.
Well, she wanted to fuck.
I know.
And she has been for a long time.
Say, the girl stuck him in the head. You don't even know what the guy looks like. You don't know anything about him.
He says that his voice is familiar, but she's so drunk she can't place it. She wondered if it was...
Yeah, later on wondered. But at the time, she didn't know. But that's my point.
She didn't even know if they had sex. And she was not bothered. Not bothered that if they had sex and she didn't remember.
Okay, but then you wake up in your bed the next day.
I feel like she was naked, but I can't remember. She may have just been wearing a t-shirt.
I think that's what it was.
First of all, we're only a few chapters in and we're already getting some action. Can I say how here for that I am? I like it when the action starts just right off the bat.
You know what I like when Riot was saying, just because he has such hatred towards Matt, but he was saying that he is going to put scars all over her body, so every time that Matt fucks her,
he remembers that he wasn't the first.
Yes, and I'm just like, so freaking...
Okay, so he goes down on her. She wakes up the next morning. She can't remember. She goes to class. Her mom calls her. And she's like, Blakely, what the fuck happened with you and Matt? And Blakely, oh God, she's talked to his mom.
Right.
And she's like, basically telling Blakely, you have to go back and make up with him. I'll apologize. And she's like, Mom, he cheated on me. I'm not marrying someone that's cheated on me. And she's, we all make sacrifices. Ma'am, I text you and I was like, her mom is fucking cunt.
And then her mom's like,
make this right.
Yeah, make this right.
So Blakely's pissed, and then she walks into her room and she finds this little vial of clear liquid with a note that says chosen one. And so this bitch just drinks it. I could never. She is either really oblivious of what these things can do to her, or she just doesn't fucking care.
I think she doesn't care. I think that she is just over her life. She's numb to it, and she just wants to feel something.
She felt something, all right. So she passes out in a t-shirt and underwear, and Riot just walks up in her house and commences to touching her. And in a way, like, she has consented to this because she drinks it, and she, like, knows something's gonna happen, clearly.
Yeah, she's hoping that he'd fuck her.
Yeah. So he finger fucks her really hard. And this girl says, Riot. And he's like, yes, baby, it's me. No, he says, yes, Blake, it's me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
He's like, even semi-unconscious.
She's still calling him for me.
She knows it's me. I'm dying.
He knew that it came from Riot, the card. So I think that it was already kind of in her mind that it would be him.
I feel like she liked it because of what we find out about her later.
Yes. So when she wakes up, that's when it says the vow ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, I don't know about this. And then it says, once the chosen accepts her duty, she is bound to serve him.
The next day or something, she's in the library and she gets a picture of herself and she's like, Riot. And he's like, I love that she doesn't care that I took her number. When I got her phone, she just is like concerned that I'm stalking him. So,
and he's like, we need to work on this girl's awareness of her surroundings. Yeah, because she's fucking oblivious to everything.
This is when he tells her, basically, you know, he says, if I make the decision to be your chosen one, are you going to hurt me? And he's like, yes. And she kind of just stares at him. He says, but I'll make you like it.
I don't even think she was really concerned with the fact that it was going to hurt.
I think she wanted it to hurt.
Yes.
So, actually, they're not just awkward. It says her mom calls, they have an encounter in the library, and then she goes home and drinks.
Yeah, I thought that was wrong, but I was just going to go with it.
I wonder if I can switch it out. Okay, anyway, so her mom calls.
Yes, the facts is that it happened, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so I got those two things mixed up. They have that encounter in the library, and that's when he leaves her the polygraph when that happens.
It says, don't you want to choose something for yourself?
Yeah. And then after she drinks that stuff and he finger fucks her, it's like the next day, she goes to the ritual.
The chosen vow ceremony. He's like, oh my gosh. First off, what the f-? Okay? A baptism pool, and it's like, you gonna kill me? I'm looking all hot. Then you go shove my head underneath the water.
Or no, first of all, he handcuffs her and blindfolds her, right? Did I get blindfolded? No, they're just staring down. He handcuffs her, drags her in the water.
No, he does. Yes, because he says, is this too tight? And she said, yes.
No, she said yes, and he clamps it even harder.
Yeah. And he said she was screwed, whether she said yes, it was going to get tightened, whether she said no, it was going to get tightened, because I can't show
mercy.
Yeah, whatever. So, yeah. And then he said he wanted to go first because he couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah.
So, in her mind, when he's like, killing her in the water, I wonder how many people have been in this water and how much stuff is in there. I'm like,
at least she went first.
She didn't know she was first, though. This is what she was saying, and I know. Oh my God. And then
I didn't like that scene. I didn't like it.
The only thing I did like is that he said that he wasn't going to do anything other than like the blowjobs because he didn't want anybody to see her and him. And I was like, oh, she's got some decency. But I'm like,
that was rough. Like, she's like coughing and gagging and choking on water. I'm like,
and then she's choking and gagging, and
honest, that whole scene was too much for me, honestly.
He drags her outside.
That was a little over the top. And then, yeah, he drags her outside. I was fine with him fucking her outside. What I wasn't fine with is that you put her underwear in her mouth I wasn't okay with it. I would have been like, the fuck? That's disgusting.
How is that any different than someone going down and then kissing you? That's worse. At least you have fabric.
No, no, no. My problem was with they were soaked in water.
Oh, okay.
And she's like choking on the water and her hell herself. But wait a minute. What's because we know Murray has the ick with fingers. What's the difference in someone going down on you and kissing you and someone making you lick their fingers after they've been in your poo house?
I don't like either one of those. But I will. Okay, stand up the fingers. Okay, not the damn fingers. It's not what on the fingers. It's the fingers. It's just like I don't want to stick my fingers in my mouth.
Okay.
Right now, it's nothing.
Okay, well, that makes more sense for me now, right now. So this grosses you out?
That's not as bad as the fact that it's your own finger in your mouth. But if I did that,
I don't like your fingers on it.
that's what I'm saying. Somebody else's fingers, you gross.
Those of you that are listening and not watching, I just licked my own finger and she wanted to throw up.
I'm fine with you licking your own fingers, especially if you're reading a book, you gotta lick the finger to flip the page. That's okay. But like,
Gross.
I mean,
Just lick my page with your wet finger.
if I read your book, more than likely you're gonna have my saliva on it.
You're not borrowing my book. That I used to deal with money, and when these people would lick fingers
No,
and count the money, I'm like, first of all, that's disgusting. That's been in a stripper's asshole. You're about to hand me that money with all your saliva on it. That's nasty. Okay, moving on.
they have a lot of finger things.
They do, in fact. But these nasty ass people don't care.
What about summertime? And you get the ones in the bra, and they'll come out and they hand
No,
money.
I will not accept it. I'm like, ma'am. The fuck? Okay, moving on.
Last year that happened. I was like, we're just gonna have to leave those pictures. Should try a little bit, okay? Can't touch that.
Okay, moving on.
Hold on a second, because I
There
gotta
we go again.
No, sorry, go ahead.
We'll say not this for now.
I know. It's not my fault you keep getting off subject. I was gonna say you live for me now. And you licks the side of her neck, but that's fine.
No, go ahead. When I said move on, you're like, no, hold on, wait a minute.
Well, that's what I meant. Like,
I meant move back onto the book. I'm on the book. Okay, go to the book.
okay, so he takes her back to his room,
His word is still Lord's, yeah.
and proceeds to handcuff her and chain her, or not chain her, but handcuffs her to the bed and all that stuff. And he finally gives her what she wants.
At least he had the decency to let her shower first. I don't know why I was expecting it, but I was expecting him to, like, give her a shower, bathe her. But no, we didn't get intimate like that.
Here you go. You live for me now, and I for you. I was like, okay, that's sweet. You serve and obey me. I protect and own you. I was like, oh, okay. It's hot. It's messed up in a hot, messed up kind of way. And then running my fingers across her tongue, I clean it off. Then I run 3 fingers along her chin, picking up more and sticking them into her mouth.
Oh, yeah, because he came on her face. You wouldn't let Josh come on your face? You're really thinking about this.
No, I just heard my kid cry. And then he proceeds to throw his... Is it her hand? Is it his hand? I have to go to this page because I'm just grossed out right now.
Can we go?
Yeah, I'm looking for the page. Okay, so when he picks it up and he puts it in her mouth, he puts it all the way to the back of her throat and makes her gag. And she's like crying tears, and and then he hits her with the good girl. Why? Why does that do something? And it's why it's in my mind. It's good.
Why can he be so rough with you? Put his cum all in your mouth, gag you with it, and then it's like, oh, that's too much. That's too much. And then he says, good girl, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right? Look, when she gagged, I was like, yeah, she gagged because that shit gross. That was gross. She gagged because you hit the gag reflex. She gagged because it's gross. That's why I be gagging.
Okay.
And then he's like, we're training our women for a higher power. Of what? Well, higher power of what? You're training them for what? Submission? To be little whores?
I honestly think when he said that, he was referring to, like, when they marry them and they have all that power, the lady has that much power too. But you don't find that out until later. You
Yes, but she was never going to be a lady. She was always going to be a chosen
for him.
for marriage.
No, she was going to be a lady for Matt.
No.
Matt was still going to be a lord.
When they talk about it later on, his father has a concern and was like, Matt is never going to be at your level. She was only going to be a chosen. She's going to be a lady with you because he is higher up in command. So I don't guess that she would ever have been a lady. She would have just been a chosen because Matt's not higher on the totem pole. She would have just been a wife, the chosen that she could pass off. He could have passed her off.
That's not how I perceived it.
It doesn't look. We'll get to it in law. Because I was confused too, because I was like, Matt's a lord. But the way they say it, it's like
the option was like, if you were initiated in and you became a lord, you were a lord and your wife was a lady.
Yeah, I was confused too. The whole thing confused me, but she is higher up than Matt is. That's why Matt wants to marry her, because of his dad, which you find out later. But the whole thing was weird. They want to train them so they'll be good little submissive.
So anyway, he takes her home, she showers. Then this smug handcuffs her in the most, or not handcuffs her, but ties her to the bed in the most uncomfortable position I have ever heard of in my life. He says her, gags her with her underwear again, and even duct tapes it in her mouth.
He has got this thing about gagging.
And then leaves. He goes back to the vow ceremony, watches 2 or 3 more people do their vows, watches Matt try to kill his chosen.
And he stands up, and you're not supposed to do that. He screams at it. He's like, "Woo!"
Yeah, and later on, he's like, man, I should have just let him kill her right there. Yeah, and he would have been killed and not a problem. So after that, he's like, you know what, I don't have time for this shit. I want to go be with Blakely. So he goes back,
and it says, a chosen one must understand patience.
I was just reading.
She must understand obedience, and she must understand that her body is no longer hers.
So, I mean, I guess him doing all that to her was her learning patience and obedience and realizing that her body is no longer hers to do with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when he goes back,
so many times.
That's what I'm saying. This whole circle,
many times. Like,
so much
to the point where she's like, I'm glad he's gone. I might have a UTI.
I remember her saying that. And I'm like, I'm glad somebody said it in a book, because these girls in some of these books, fuck so much.
Ryan Rule.
Yeah, I don't know if there's more smut in this book or Ryan Rule. They're competing, but I'm like, how the fuck is your vagina not A, raw, and B, have you not gotten a UTI or some kind of bacterial infection from all this? Because, damn. Okay.
I want to say, so when he comes back and they proceed to have sex 15,000 more times, at one point, he's again down there, and she's handcuffed because she can't move, and he's licking, and she's like starting to squirm because he's not stopping. And he's a going, and he does it. He does it. He does it.
What does he do?
His fingers dig further into her cheek and then slides his tongue over her.
I don't know how you read this. Y'all, I was so unbothered.
Y'all.
The only time I was bothered was with the wet panties in the mouth. That was it. The rest of it, I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay.
Okay, I am bothered because I have been told.
You keep talking about that. I don't want to talk. We're going to do right.
It is gross. Isn't it gross? So every time I see the puckered ass, I think, did Ted
she just took a shower.
I think fucks 15,000 more times.
And she still had a shower.
Okay, she might have had a clean asshole. No, doesn't mean that there's not shit that comes out of it.
But it's not coming out or hasn't come out recently. Apparently.
Your asshole leaked.
I don't know. Probably not. But I've never had it done. I'm just saying, it's in a book.
I haven't. I feel weird. Unintentionally.
Was not expecting you to say that. I don't think I have. I don't know that I like it.
It was very unexpected.
I think it would give me the ick.
Right after a shower, some stuff was clean.
Well, there you go. But still, I think I'd get the ick if you tried to kiss me after. But it's your mouth and you do what you want. Okay.
It was unintentional. He didn't realize he did until after, like, he went a little too far. He's like, I thought I did. But again, it was clean. I just was like,
but I mean, it doesn't gross me out in a book. Cause I'm like,
but did you like how, was it this again?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like how Gunga picked a cigarette?
I did.
The man, Curtis took his pants off. And his diaper.
Fun.
Like, I mean, he's like
Well, just pull his pants back. Oh, it's fine.
Hurry up, go, because he's important.
I did love that Gunnar picked Sarah.
I did too.
I already knew he was going to, because when they had that encounter in the hallway after she found the flyer, I think he gave it to her. He said, or Blakely observes that Gunnar basically devours Sarah with his eyes. And I'm like, Sarah's going to be his.
Yeah, they match up well.
They do. So,
and then he's going to pull, he tucks her into bed.
Yes, and he was going to push her away because he's like, oh, I'm not the snuggling type. He's like, but then I think about how many people are in this house and would take her from me
and how celebrities are happening right now.
And so I pull her closer
and snuggle. I was like, what's happening? Is he getting feelings already?
Okay, so then Blake finds out that
he says at one point, Riot says that they were taught punishment and humiliation when needed, but was also shown the importance of praise. And Blakely will learn to crave that from me just as much as the other. And I'm thinking manipulation at its finest.
I mean, if she likes it, she likes it. So the next day or some days later or something, he sees she's eavesdropping because she sees Riot and Cindy talking in the hallway. And Cindy's pissed because Riot didn't pick her as her chosen and he's supposed to marry her. Which she finds out because Luke walks up and he catches her eavesdropping and he basically tells her, like, you know, Riot's going to fuck you. You'll be his slut until you're my whore. And I have you just chained in my basement. And I'll fuck you just whenever I want. And you won't see the light of day otherwise.
He's going to be a judge and
he's going to be the most powerful judge in
New York. And Cindy,
Cindy will be his wife. You were talking about pissed? So pissed.
Well, and then Riot sees her walking away and he chases after her.
And he's like, what's wrong?
He's like, wait a second. Is this when Matt licks her face?
Yes, this is when Matt pushes her up against the wall and licks her face. Don't do that either. Don't lick my face either.
Okay, you're not a dog. Don't lick me. Not there.
Not on your face?
Not on my face. That was gross too. But anyway, so Riot chases after her. And this is when you see that she gets mouthy. Like she's got a little bite to her.
Chelsea, yeah. Riot notices that because she like snaps at him and he's like, oh, Blake's a little fighter.
And I'm just like, he's letting her get away with more than I would have thought that he would or that they would. I know, but I'm just saying, like, that surprised me because I was thinking that's when it kind of started changing a little bit. Like when he snuggled to her, but then when she started getting mouthy and he allowed it, I was like, okay, this might be okay.
If you can let me have attitude towards you, we can get along. Because if not, I would be.
And then, so she's mad at him. And here's Sarah. She's like, I'm going to go out. And she's like, okay, let's go. You know, Sarah's on board for everything.
Well, Riot is leaving for the weekend. Right? Yeah. Okay. I was thinking, this is when Sarah's like, I want to go to this club. Right? This is when they go to the club and those stats hit on them.
No, she gets with Sarah. She tells Sarah that she wants to go out because she's pissed off at Riot. So she's like, I want to go out. And she's like, okay, I've got this club blackout.
Yeah.
Let's go to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that Sarah talked to her. I was like, no, this time she reached out to Sarah.
No, yeah. I was talking about they go out to blackout.
Gotcha.
So yeah, she needs to blow off some steam. So they go out. I was like, oh God, she's going to get in trouble.
Look, I understand. And I'm not judging people. You wear what you want to wear. But if you're going to wear stuff, expect to be approached. However, when you say no and to back off, back off. So when those two guys came up and pretty much would not leave them alone.
And then she snatched it back. I was like, they're being pushing.
You should be grateful we were offering to take care of you for the night. You can pay us back later.
Hell no. I ain't paying you back in any shape, way, form, or fashion.
I'm like,
I will bite that motherfucker off.
And you know it's possible.
You will wish you never knew what manhood was. So yeah, they go out to the club. Those guys hit on them. And then we switch to Riot's POV. And they're watching them. And when he told Tyson to get the basement ready, I was like, oh God, what are they going to do to these girls? But then they just take them back home. And I was like, what was the basement for? But later we found out that they struck the boss.
Right. And this is when her dream's happening. She goes to sleep and she has them.
This is when he asked her, because she's like belligerently drunk.
Oh, yeah.
This is when he asked her what happened in the hallway with Matt, and she finally tells him what happened, what he said to her. Yeah. And then he basically,
She knows that she can't handle her alcohol. This is how many times already she's been drunk?
several,
You know you can't handle your alcohol. What are you drinking that at?
and she doesn't care. We've had this conversation.
Hey, but I'm just like, if you're going to talk the game, especially you've been hit on by these creepy guys that you know aren't leaving you alone. So I'm not drinking anymore. I'm going to be alert.
I do have to agree with that. Now, if I thought there was a threat and that I could possibly be raped and not want it, because that's what rape is, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. I am going to be aware of my surroundings, because obviously my friend's not going to be.
Right.
But thankfully, Ryan and Gunnar showed up and handled it and brought them home.
I mean, they were there the whole time, but they don't need to know that.
But yeah, that's when he gets her to confess about what Meg said. And then the next,
He also confesses more.
not the next morning. Yeah, she confesses more about her past.
She said that she's not going to marry him. She's going to run. So
That's right.
matter.
That's right. That her plan was to run away before he could marry her.
Yeah.
After Riot decided he was done with her, she was going to run. Yeah. I think that's when Riot decided that he was going to step in and marry her. I think that's when his decision was swayed. And then later she wakes up and she's stupid drunk and naked, and she walks out into the living room and he's just sitting there. And she's like, she's all turned on.
No, because she had a dream.
Yes. She's all turned on because she had that dream. And I thought at first she was
a memory?
No.
Oh, I thought it was a memory.
I thought it was going to be a memory, a reoccurring nightmare that she had. Because I'm like, is she not a virgin?
Twist.
I'm like, is she not a virgin? Did she get raped? Or did she get close to being raped and she's got PTSD? No. My girl is a kinky bitch. She has, and I don't want to call it rape, she has forced sex fantasy. And she finally tells Riot about this fantasy. And she is so ashamed because she has told Matt previously that she had this fantasy. And he was like, you're fucking disgusting. What's wrong with you? And so she didn't even want to tell him, but Riot pretty much forces her to tell him.
You know that cases have been won against, or I guess, yeah, victims because of their body's reactions. It doesn't anymore, or a lot of them don't anymore. But the aggressor got away with it because a woman's reaction, because they had an orgasm or whatever. Rape is rape, regardless of how your body reacts to it. If you did not want it, you did not want it. If you said no, no means no. Okay? Doesn't matter how your body's reacting to it.
Just because you're
verbalizing no.
Just because your body reacts to it doesn't mean that you liked it. It means that your body was tricked into reacting to it.
Yes. So the way her scene was, it was very detailed, but she wakes up, like you said, and goes out there and probably thinks something's happened or she's had a dream.
No, he thinks she's been touching herself.
That's right.
And he's like, you know you're not supposed to touch yourself. And so he, quote unquote, punishes her for touching herself. And then she finally tells him, like, no, I was turned on, but I had this dream. And he's like, well, tell me about the dream. And so she does. And he's like, so you have a full sex scheme. And she, bless her, is so ashamed.
Because when she told Matt, his reaction was,
you're disgusting.
He's
saying, what is wrong with you?
There's something wrong with you. That is the
funny.
He proceeds to leave, like tosses her off or whatever, proceeds to leave her house for 2 weeks and didn't talk to her for 2 weeks.
Manipulating her when you're the one that almost raped someone.
Right. And that's when he even said, he's like, it's really funny coming from somebody who tried to do that to somebody.
Mm-hmm. That's what Ryan thinks. Yeah.
Well, of course, he doesn't verbalize this.
Yeah. So, what happens after that? I don't have any more notes.
He just says it's a fantasy about submission. She wants to be dominated in a way that she'll know she'll enjoy. It's the act of the coercion, which, and who cares if all parties are consenting? If that's what you want, then, whatever, just like he said. This is when he goes and finds Matt at the house. And he picks up Matt's in the gym working out, and he just takes a 30-pound dumbbell and just...
Because he made her feel ashamed for something that she shouldn't feel ashamed for. That motherfucker deserved that shit. And then he gets called to the office and he's like, fuck, you know what? I don't fucking care.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I ain't gonna say nothing. What do you know? Why am I here?
But the guy pretty much, he's like, good job. Keep it up. And like, hell, they know Matt's problem. Hell yeah. So, I'm having something.
They said he's offered to pay. This is when he finds out that Matt is offering to pay for Blakely. And he's like, how much? And he said 50 grand. And his dad's like, how much are you willing to pay?
But he doesn't say anything yet.
No, he doesn't say anything. He just, I guess,
Over.
yeah.
He mulls it over.
He's like, I don't know. So
this is when he goes to New York, right? You've got that mixed up.
How do I have it mixed up? I'm going down the book.
I think you just jumped to that. Like, he got called to the office for something, and then he has this search in
92. It's not that long.
I know, it happened really quickly after.
An hour later, I'm boarding my father's private jet.
So, right after he gets called to the office for, fucking up Matt.
He didn't get called to the office. He's on the plane, and he gets a call.
Oh, that's right. Okay, scratch what I said. So, it's leaving for...
said, I'm sorry, I heard there was an issue this morning in the House of Lords. And he said, yes, sir, it won't happen again. And that's when he said, no need. He's like, no need? You do whatever the fuck is necessary to keep him away from her, and I'll make sure that these pesky rumors are never heard of. And he's like, things just...
Who was it interesting him?
Her dad.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So,
which of course, does he know that's her dad at this point? Okay, I didn't think so.
He just thinks it's a lord in command.
Yeah, he's like, this game just got a little bit more fun.
So he's leaving for the weekend. He's going to see his parent when he gets a call on the plane from just one of the lords.
The one that told him to choose Blakely.
Right. And he's basically thinking he's in trouble for, fucking Matt earlier. And he says, what does he say?
He says, I heard there was an incident this morning. And he said, yes, sir, it won't happen again. He said, no need. He said, you do whatever the fuck is necessary to keep him away from her, and I'll make sure these pesky rumors are never heard of.
Hell yeah.
Clear? Yes, sir. And he smiled. And he said, this game just got a little bit more fun. And then he comes home, and he sees his mom and his dad, and he goes talk to his dad. Because he told Blakely that he was going to be gone that weekend.
And then he calls her while he's there. And she's like, when are you coming home Sunday? He's like, actually, no, it's probably going to be Monday night before I see you. She's so disappointed. She's just like laying on the bed eating popcorn.
Now, we need to mention that after the fantasy, he did ask her, do you want to do this? And she said no. And he's like, do you want to do this? And she said yes. And he's like, do you want me to tell you? And she said no.
You have to go back. So pardon.
No, that's all I'm going to say. That right there.
Okay. Yeah, he does confirm with her that she wants to act out that fantasy,
but she doesn't want to be aware.
She doesn't want to know, and she wants to be surprised. Yeah, I love that.
So he goes home to meet his dad, to have the talk with his dad, and that's when he's told about them. Matt is offering $50,000 to buy Blakely.
And he asks him what he wants to offer. What is she worth to you? And he's basically just mulling it over at this point.
Yeah.
And then he goes back that same night. After telling Blakely he wouldn't be back until Monday, he actually goes back that same night. Because when he walks in, she's passed out, popcorn and stuff aside, and he wakes her up. No, he starts kidnapping her, right?
When he gets there?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's passed out sleeping.
And he starts kidnapping her, putting a bag over her head, just barely, good enough where she can breathe, but can't see what's going on. Ties her up, hog ties her.
He blindfolds her, he handcuffs her, and then he throws her in his trunk, and he hog ties her in the trunk.
He says something to her to let her know. Oh, he said something about, he calls her little one, so she knows it's him.
Yeah, but she already knew it was him.
She already knew.
His hands.
Yeah.
As soon as he touched her,
she knew it was him.
She knew it was him.
Did that.
I'm like,
I loved it that he wanted her to he wanted her to be scared, but not so scared that she was actually going to be kidnapped. But that she already knew it was him just by the way he touched her.
I know.
Okay. So he took her to the cabin. That was the first time he took her to the cabin, right?
Yes, he wanted somewhere that she wouldn't recognize and she wouldn't know.
And so they went at the cabin, and then they do it in the woods. And at the same time they did it in the woods.
I don't know. It happened a couple times, so I'm not sure if that's
I'm pretty sure like he kidnaps her, takes her to the cabin, they have sex, and then later on he's like, I gotta go somewhere, and then he changes his outfit.
He gets an assignment, or they get a meeting. He's called in for a meeting.
Yeah.
And they're saying, I need 2 volunteers. And Matt's like, right, and I will.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he's trying to get everything situated real quick. And he's like, I'm going to be gone.
What are they gonna do?
Because he was like, no, you're right. So they go on assignment. They find out that they're going into a jail to murder someone who's in jail for killing a Lord's son. The target was the Lord, but they killed his 6-year-old son. And so their assignment is
Hey. Yeah, we're just trying to do the podcast. Oh.
so
Richard. Okay.
so they are in jail. And the whole time Lily is getting more and more pissed because she feels like he's doing what Matt did and it's ghosting her. So she's just getting more and more pissed off. And the whole time, Wright's trying to get back to her. And he's in jail.
They end up being there way longer than they planned to be. Wasn't it like 3 days?
He's like, I'm going to get this done. The guy's in solitary consignment. Their target is in solitary consignment. So he talks to the judge because the judge trusts Riot. They don't trust Matt. Trust Riot. And the judge is the one whose son got murdered. But he's like, I don't know why this guy who I specifically said to murder is in solitary confinement. So you have to get into solitary confinement and kill him.
He commences to beating old Matt.
So he walks in there with Matt and proceeds to beat the living malarkey out of him. And Riot gets sent to solitary confinement. And he is in there for 3 or 5.
Somewhere between 3 and 5. He was in there a total of
6 days.
Was it 6 days?
Yes, he's in there a total of 6 days, but I'm not sure if I think it's 5 days. He's in there for 5 days before he is finally said shower time.
Yeah, and that's when he killed the guy.
And so he immediately goes to the shower. He doesn't even take his clothes off. He runs right in there, kills the guy, is done. On his way back into solitary confinement, there's a guy in his cell. So the guy in his cell has a thing, and he's like, I'm going to need a tetanus shot if this thing touches me. His legs are undone, but they leave him handcuffed. So he's like, something's up, right? So the guy's in there. He proceeds to kill him, or tries to kill him. Riot turns around and kills the guy. And as soon as he's choking the guy out with his handcuffs, the judge walks in. He's like, what is going on? He's like, who's the boss?
So, guys, if you see that we're in different locations now, it's because
we had to become parents.
Yeah, we had to, do life and come back.
But we're here now. We're back. It's all good. So he's finally out of jail. He comes back to her apartment and Blakely's pissed off because it's been 6 days and she hasn't heard anything from him. And he just shows up and she's like, get the fuck out. And he is just exhausted, physically, mentally done. And so he immediately goes to shower, ignoring her. Yes. And he's getting undressed. And that's when she sees his body that's covered in bruises all over his ribs. And then that's when she, I guess, gets reeled back to reality. And she's like, what happened? Where were you? And of course, she's not answering any of her questions. And so she's still pissed off, but she cares.
Yeah. She wanted to be an asshole and kick him out, but then she saw him and she saw what kind of shape he was in and she just kind of melted for him.
Yes.
I feel like that was kind of when her feelings started turning for him, where she kind of started getting soft for him.
Did you think that Matt would have tried to kill him in jail?
Yes.
You thought that?
When he volunteered, I knew he was going to try something.
But he didn't
volunteer.
He said that they didn't know where they were going. They didn't know the assignment.
He didn't know what the assignment was, but I'm saying he saw that as an opportunity.
Yeah, why did you volunteer us? He said, well, if you're on this assignment, then you're not with her.
Yeah, but I also think he had ulterior motive and he was just going to try and kill him.
Regardless, like whatever assignment they were at.
Whatever the assignment was, he was going to find a window of opportunity and use it.
I don't understand how he keeps getting away with everything.
Matt?
Yes. And how they say that they don't have any, what do they say? They don't have any leniency, but yet he's gotten away with countless stuff and he's never held accountable for it.
I think they don't have enough proof to 100% say, like, he's guilty of this and we got to kill him for it.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, it's chopping block. They can't just kill them for suspicion, you know?
Why not? They kill them to fight each other.
Yeah, but I feel like the people they let them fight are traitors that they're trying to take out.
I'm talking about, what was it, their sophomore year? They have another initiate.
Yeah, but at that point, they're not a lord. They're an initiate.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, but they don't care. Hang on a second. I'm going to close this curtain. Initiate. They don't care. They're just initiates right now.
I feel like once you become a lord, they have some regard for your life because you are part of the society at that point. Like after you've been through the initiation and you have actually been branded and become a lord, they have to have some regard for your life to protect you.
Okay.
But also, if you fuck up and they know you fuck up and they have proof, you're done.
True.
But without that proof, they just have that suspicion and they can't just really kill you unless they have.
I get it.
That's just how I see it. Like, why would you be a part of a society where they could kill you without reason?
That is true. All right, so makes sense.
After he showers, they go get in her bed and they sleep.
He wants to do stuff, but he physically can't. He just
can't.
So
yeah.
Tired.
They just simply sleep, and the next morning she gets up. Her mother, this bitch, just barges in, doesn't she? Yeah, she just barges in.
Yeah.
Well, because isn't she like walking around naked or just in a t-shirt and underwear?
Yes.
And then her mom just barges in, and then Riot comes out of the bedroom, and he's pretty much just in underwear.
He's in a towel or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And her mom's like, "What the fuck, Blakely?
Who the fuck are you?
You're supposed to be with Matt. What the fuck's going on here?" And Blakely's like, "Oh, no.
It's just sex, Mom. It's just sex." And then her mom says, "You're getting together with Matt, or so help me, I'll have the wedding tomorrow," or some stuff like that. And she's like, "I'm not marrying him. He cheated on me." And her mother proceeds to slap her. And then this is when I like truly fell for him. Riot. It's Riot. When her mom came in, they were talking. He comes up to her and kisses her on her forehead. And he's like, I'm going to be in the bedroom or something like that. So he walks out. But of course, he's listening. And when her mom slaps her, he comes in. When he grabs her by the throat and slams her up against the wall and tells her never touch her again. He's like, never touch her again. I'm like, you go. And then she's still like going off on him, and he proceeds to yank her by her hair and throw her out into the hall. Fun. Get off. Pretty much tells her not to have any contact with him or whatsoever. And I was like, you know what, Riot? Maybe you're not so bad. You're sick and twisted and definitely obsessive, controlling, but I kind of like you.
It's like he's toxic, but like it's not like he's a good toxic because there is no good toxic. But if there was, he'd be the good toxic.
Yeah. There's something about him and her, like him being so controlling of her, but he does let her be mouthy and get away with way more than I would have thought that they would let them, with him anyways. Some lords aren't like that, but with her, and their relationship, he does definitely let her bend a lot of stuff that I was surprised with. He wants to control every aspect of her, but he also wants her to be strong enough to take care of herself around others too. And he gives her that freedom, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, he likes it because the first time she snaps at him, he's like, "Little Blakely has a little bite." And I'm a little impressed.
Because Matt made her out to be this frail, needs to be protected, ignorant girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked it. And then she's still mad at him. She meets up with Sarah. "How are you and Gunnar?" She's like, "How are you and Gunnar?" She's like, "Great." He's got like this thing up with breath play. And she's like, "Breath play?
What is that?
What's that?" this is also when she's trying to see, because her phone wasn't working. Her mom said that she couldn't contact her. Sarah said she couldn't contact her. So she was asking Sarah, she's like, can you reach me? She's like, well, that one time, but you said y'all were in the wood or cabin or whatever. And so I just thought it was service related. She's like, well, call me now. And she did, and it rings. So she didn't really think anything of it. But she starts asking about the breath plane. She's like, well, what is that? She's like, I mean, right before I pass out.
Yeah, but then they were interrupted because they were in class. So she just went to Googling on her phone.
Yes. Would you try that? I think I would.
Hard pass. You would? No, hard pass for me.
I think I'd like it. I wouldn't want to be the one that passes out. Like, I don't want you to do it to the point where I literally lose consciousness.
No.
But I definitely think I like it.
It's just a no. It's too risky.
Well, I mean, I think I wouldn't want to be restrained while doing that. But I wouldn't mind doing it where I could be like, hey, I'm tapping out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I would mind it. I think I'd actually enjoy it.
It doesn't bother me that they do it in the book.
Yeah, it's not like a trigger for me or anything like that.
Not a trigger, and it's interesting to see that she likes it and how she felt.
Kind of jumps to Riot, and he is in the office with his dad and her dad, I think. He shows up with his lawyer.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's got his lawyer, his dad, and her dad.
Yes.
And this is when he's like, I'll pay you $500,000 for her.
And then he has all these contracts. Her dad's like, well, what about a prenup? And he's like, I don't want a prenup because that says we're going to fail or there's going to be a divorce, and there's not going to be a divorce. He has all of these contracts that he wants signed and to pretty much guarantee she's mine.
Well, hold on. With the contract he had drawn up for Cindy that was never signed, they just had it drawn up waiting, said that they would be married and whoever he wanted, and she could fuck whoever she wanted. But the contract he had drawn up for Blakely,
yeah,
he's like, cut that out because she's only fucking me and I'm only fucking her. I was like, hell yeah.
But then I was so impressed by her dad because he's like, I'll sign this, but I'm not taking a dime.
Yes.
She agrees. She agrees.
That lets you know that her dad does care about her happiness. Like, he truly cares about his daughter, unlike
her mother.
Which
he said that had nothing to do with me. I didn't know this arrangement until I was told about it. Her mother did all of this.
Dude, okay, knowing what you know later, knowing that Valerie is who she is later, how could you have ever stood for that as her father? How could you have ever let that happen? I would have killed the bitch myself. And, maybe he had some reserve for Matt, like, thought he could be a decent guy until the events went down where they started to suspect that he did, fucked the oath. And so he was like okay with the marriage, but I don't know. As a parent, so her dad says, I'm not taking any money. If she agrees, she agrees. And so Riot goes back to her immediately. And I think she thinks he's kidding, but he's like, will you marry me? He's just screwed her. And then he's just done like the breath play with her. So her mind is so foggy.
Yes.
And he's like, will you marry me? And she's like, what?
Do you want to be his whore for the rest of your life, or do you want to be my good girl? I'm ready to go again. And she's like, you're a good girl.
In her defense, like, you think he's like in the moment. You think he's like, but not for real.
Day when she wakes up, that night when she like passes out afterwards, he puts the ring on. How beautiful does that ring sound? Can I replay what this ring sounds like? Okay. It is a 6-carat princess cut engagement ring. The ring is bigger than her finger, y'all. Okay. But he slips it on And he says, here's to being mine forever, Blake. So she wakes up and I think she's washing her hands or cleaning her face or something.
She's like,
that wasn't a dream. It was real.
it was being so serious.
Would you have said yes? Suspicious. And would you have automatically said yes?
I would have asked questions. I would have never had just said yes, because I would be like, what do you mean? Like, do you want to run away with me and get married to me? Are you protecting me from Matt? Are you marrying me because you want to marry me? Is this some type of deal? And I would have never just been like, yes. I would have yes, I would have wanted to, but I would have had to have like tons of questions. And she just didn't ask any questions.
She, in her mind, it was all going on in her mind. And she did say, my mother's never going to let me. I'm supposed to marry Matt. And he's like, this is the answer to all your problems, Blake. All you need is me. I'll take care of you.
And after that, it would have been immediately, yeah, let's go. Let's fuck, and then let's go. Before my mother catches wind of this and tries to drag me down the aisle to Matt.
Yeah. And she's still thinking that he's seeing other women too. And she's like, why? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, she said, because you're seeing other women. He's like, who the told you I'm seeing other women?
Yeah. I forgot she had that suspicion because that's where she thought he was while he was in jail for so long.
Yeah. The way he is secretive and he's always leaving and coming. I definitely get that. Plus, she's been manipulated and lied to her entire life. And she never asks questions. But my thing is, stop assuming. If you want to know, ask. I know that is easier said than done. I know that people have issues with that. And maybe it's just the fact that I'm just so over it. If they're going to lie to you, at least you know you asked. And later on, if you're lied to, then you have reason. But if you don't ask, you cannot sit here and play the victim card. You didn't open your mouth up and ask, so stop assuming. That annoys me about her because she assumes everything. She never just asks anything. And then she just gets mad and she blows up.
That was a problem I had with her too. She could never just come out and ask him. And I'm like, are you not comfortable with him enough to know that you can ask him anything? Or
how many times has she opened up about
But honestly, though, let's think about her past with Matt.
No, I know.
Anytime she asked Matt, he ignored her or told her to leave it alone or avoided her altogether. So a part of me is right now realizing why she would never ask right questions.
But she did ask him questions and he would always answer. That's what kills me. Like, she would ask questions and he didn't answer. He did answer her. Why not ask all the questions? Why only ask some questions? Because she asks questions, he answers, and he would tell her, I can't tell you, or I'm not going to tell you, or whatever. But at least he has responded to you and he doesn't just ignore you and go off for 2 weeks at a time. With like her sexual acts and stuff. You know, what she wants. They talk about that. That to me is way more intimate than asking, where did you go last night?
I feel like it's probably she's afraid of the answer.
She did ask Gunnar and Gunnar said he's on assignment. And she's like, assignment? He's out of town because he slipped up.
Yeah.
She's like, what? This is what he says. Just know this, Blake. If you try to run from me, I will find you. And when I do, you will regret the day you left me. I'm like, foreshadowing. She's going to run.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and part of you is like, oh, well, he just said that because she's told him that her plan was to run from Matt.
She's saying like, my parents will never willingly let me be with anyone other than Matt. And then she's like, well, my father might, but my mother is the one obsessed with him. And I'm like, if you know it's your mother, why haven't you talked to your dad? Why aren't you talking to your dad about it? That's what I was like, whatever. But it's like, she's not suspicious at all about this.
That's because she never questions anything out loud.
Right. Except for stupid stuff. I don't understand. Like, why are you questioning some things, but not other things? I don't understand. Confuses me. But regardless, this is when she's like, she makes that little comment because he talks about the running thing. And she's like, really? And so she.
Oh, yeah. She runs.
And who does she go to? Her daddy. I need the jet. But I'm thinking, you're dumb. You're going to call daddy for a jet? And then you're talking to your dad. Why not ask him about Matt? You obviously have a relationship with him. Like, you're calling him daddy. Stuff doesn't make sense.
There are definitely some plot holes.
Right? It's like dumb and smart. And it's not like, sometimes it's not common sense, smart, and just world dumb. She's just dumb.
And this is the problem with this book. You can't think too much into it, because when you do, it's like, okay, that's not making sense.
Yeah.
Shantel wrote her how she needed her to be at what time she needed her to be at.
She definitely changes her character. And I know you want character development, but her development doesn't happen. It just, it
does.
It's
because
not explained. It just happens.
I think her development was she went from this innocent college girl to a corrupted badass.
Well,
that's a lady.
She goes from ignorant, innocent, can't do anything for herself. Then she goes to being able to be a bartender, working, and is able to support herself, pretty much. Then she goes to kicking girls' butts and pulling them by their hair and hog tying them. And then she's killing people. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just happens. There's
no gradual development.
Exactly. It's not gradually and explains. It just, bam, happens. Bam.
Not like she witnessed Riot do anything insane until he killed the guy to bring her home. That was the first time she ever saw him do anything morally wrong.
Right.
Other than dominating her, which isn't morally wrong. It's just like, he just dominates her.
She knows that he does stuff. Like, when she sees Matt's black eye, she knows that Riot must have done that. But again,
that's still different.
Right. So, but whatever. She goes to the jet. And of course, she's like, ha, I beat him. I'm so smart.
Did you expect him to immediately follow her? Because I was like, he's just going to find her like right off the bat. He didn't even leave. Like, he's probably sitting in his car outside, stalking you, following you. Because why would he leave?
He does, though, remember, because he says he sees her lugging the suitcases in the back of the seat.
I know. I'm saying that was my thought initially before we ever had his point of view.
Yeah.
I was like, are you stupid? He's not leaving. Like, he's going to watch you. He's not about to, like, go gallivant around and wait for you to run.
Goes back to my first point. I don't get it. So, of course, he shows up and she's on the jet and she's like, ha. And as a flight attendant, you know, she's like, oh, I didn't realize we're having another passenger. And she's just like, the flight attendant's just as ditzy. But he tells you to offer her champagne. You do as he tells you. Then he gives you...
You watch him drug it.
Yeah.
And you give it to her anyway.
Here's my thing. If I was in that flight attendant's position, knowing the things that she probably has seen being in a flight attendant for the lords of that jet, I can definitely go right along. I didn't see nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I want my...
Not me, because I'm working for one of the lords, and that's his daughter. So I'm probably going to get killed.
That's right. She didn't know him, and she just went along with it. So you have a very good point.
And then he calls her dad, and he's like, so I'm hijacking your plane, and by the way, I fired your flight attendant because he's not up to standard.
I'll find you another one.
I'll find you another one that is. I mean, thank God.
Go ahead, because I think you're going to say the same thing.
Because what if it wasn't Riot and it was somebody else trying to drug her and rape her? She just allowed that to happen.
I was going to say, at least he was nice enough to let her leave with her life.
Okay, yeah, that too. That I didn't even think of. Because, yeah,
he's like, get your shit and get out, or I'll throw you off at 5,000 feet or whatever. And I'm like, deuces. Says, we need to talk about you taking drinks from strangers. I think he likes drugging her, and I think she likes getting drugged.
She likes forced rape fantasy. Of course she likes to get drugged.
This book gives me PTSD on drinking anything that I don't twist and click open.
Right? Anytime she goes to a party and she goes straight to the punch bowl, I'm like, fuck that.
She does it one time.
I even want to take a drink from the bartender at the bars now. Fuck that.
Do you remember she does? And it's only one time in the book when she's at the ball and she's like, I don't know if I should take this champagne until she sees her actually open it. And then, like, the next scene, she's like, here, let me have a drink. Like, how does that work? How are you not okay in a ball full of people, but you'll take a drink at a party?
Right? How do you not have trust issues at this point?
But again, you go smart here, dumb here.
Yeah. So after she passes out again, did you expect him to put a butt plug in her? Because I was done.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because he said, this ass will be mine too.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew it was coming, but I'm like, and when she wakes up afterwards, she's like,
Is that? This is something's off.
something's
No, not only did he put the butt plug in, but he switched it out after a couple of hours.
readjust it to adjust it for his size.
He switched it out to a bigger one. Yeah. Like, holy shit. No, yeah, when she wakes up, she's like, something feels off. And I can't remember what she does, but then she realizes like it's in and she's like, what did you do to me?
He said, I don't remember what exactly he says, but he does say that I put a butt plug in you because it's time, that ass is mine. But you gotta give him something, because as bad as he wants to ram his cock into her, he doesn't want to hurt her. He's gonna ease his way in just this once.
Well, he said, if I take her the way I want to, she'll rip and I'll have to wait. Are you being considerate of of her, or yourself?
You do want her to enjoy it.
He did want her to enjoy it, and boy, did she. The vibrator butt plug combo?
He had her up against a mirror so she could see.
And then she like puts her head down on the counter and he's like,
Open your eyes.
open your eyes, Blake. And I like,
Can we also talk about how she cries?
she does. I don't like that she cries. I'm like, why are you crying?
Yes, and she enjoys it. She's crying.
She's enjoying it. I'm not I mean, there's a time to cry during that. Like, that's fine.
And her embarrassment all the time. I'm so embarrassed by it. How much has he done to you and you're still embarrassed?
He's obviously enjoying it. Like, he wants it. He wants you to want it, and you're embarrassed by it.
Again,
Why?
irritation in this book.
Just with her.
And now that I'm reviewing the book, I'm like, does it really deserve that many stars?
No, yes. Right, it does.
He annoys me.
Now that we're talking about it, she does annoy me. I'm like, why are you... Just fucking tell him you like it. Stop crying and take it. If you like pain, why are you crying? Okay, moving on, because we're stuck on this.
We are.
Anyway, I did love that scene.
Well, it encouraged you in your scene.
Shut up. It did encourage me.
No shame.
I will not elaborate, only to say that I recreated it in a different way.
And it was enjoyable?
Absolutely. Did it encourage you?
It did.
Okay.
Okay, so these books have definitely made me more adventurous in ways.
I feel like they've just corrupted me in all kinds of ways.
Like, absolutely no go, not going to happen. And then I'm like, but how does that feel?
I don't like that. Do I?
So,
Like I do.
So his dad calls. He's like, don't worry, we're not eloping or anything.
He says we're not eloping or anything, but in his head, he's like, not that you'd be invited to the wedding anyway.
Right? And his dad's not discouraging him, but he just wants to make sure, like, do you think that she's really going to be able to be initiated? Because now she has to be initiated as a lady. And he's like, she would have had to gone through it. This is when he says that his dad said, a lord's wife, it's much different than a chosen one. As my wife, she will be untouchable, invincible, because I will give her as much power as she fucking wants. Matt was going to make her his whore. Probably let anyone who wants a piece of her have her. He planned on using her to get him whatever his title wouldn't. No one person will touch her. And then he says she can handle it. We both know that if Matt doesn't marry Blakely, then he won't get anywhere. His father needs the Andersons' name to stay alive. What did his dad do? Because now stuff's starting to kind of sound like what's really going on here.
Is it Matt that they find the problem, or is it Matt's dad that they find the problem? And they're trying to take them both out.
Yeah, that's whenever he said that his father needs the Andersons' name to stay alive. I was like, ooh. So that's what I was telling you before. I think that her dad, Blakely's dad, is higher up. And so he would have had more power being married to her because of what her title would do, or that what her last name would give him. Fast forward 2-3 days, and guess what? They're married.
Yeah. Like, they just went, they didn't elope, I guess, technically, but they did go to the courthouse.
Yeah. Is that eloping? There's no.
I thought eloping was like traveling, getting married somewhere else, and then coming home.
Maybe. I know they went on their little trip for 2 days. Then they went to the courthouse and got their license and was married the 3rd day. So, yeah. Day trip to Pennsylvania. Here they go.
So then, is it right after that they have, like, go to that party?
It's the House of Lords ceremony. This is like, is it the end of the year? Or I don't know what it is. I think this is just a ceremony when they're like
Becoming Lord?
where the senior lords are kind of welcoming the freshmen and showing off their chosen, like, this is what you get.
Okay, that makes sense. I couldn't figure out what it was, but what you're saying makes sense. So it's like a ceremony where the seniors present their chosens for the freshmen to see
because
what they get after their 3 years of abstinence.
the freshmen are passing out the
Okay. Servants.
yes, servers.
Yeah.
So the freshmen are the servers and they're walking around, and I think it's just kind of a showcase of their chosens and what you get once you finish your initiation.
So
and this is when he announces
Yeah.
because I guess he's like the higher up one, like he is top of his class, so to speak. And he makes his announcement and he's like, I lucked out with my chosen. Not everyone can say this. He's in his feelings. He says, you don't normally fall in love, but I could definitely see myself falling and loving her. And how bad would that be for my wife to love me? So he presents her and he's like, I'm lucky, and then he's like, oh yes, and by the way, let me introduce you to
my wife. And she's like, no, 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 no. And
he says her name.
And then she notices that he's not even looking at her. His gaze is going past her, and she turns around to see that he's eyeing Matt. And I know there's like a rival between them, but don't look at him. Look at her.
I think that these lords and chosens or whatever, there's such a screwed up cult. They're so manipulated and twisted in their minds that everything is a strategic play. And him looking at Matt is to show, I won, she's mine, you'll never have her. It's over. And because he has yet to really tell her how he's feeling.
Yeah.
Other than obsessive.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me that he did that.
Or right before he marries her, his feelings do start turning into feelings.
You said this the other day. Did I catch that they hadn't kissed?
Oh, yeah. I was tracking it, like, from the start. They hadn't kissed, like, they're fucking. He kisses her on the forehead all the time, but they had not kissed on the lips. Them getting married was the very first time they had kissed on the lips, and he was like, God, this is so amazing. Why have I not done this until now?
I wanted you to say that because I feel like that was really important, because that's when why haven't I done this? So
I just love that.
He's there. He's in his feelings. He's 100% with
when you first meet Riot, you're like, oh my God, he's one of those men who use women and he doesn't really feel for anyone but himself.
Yep.
And then when he starts turning soft for Blakely, it's like, maybe you are the perfect toxic man.
Exactly. So she's kind of had enough and she needs a breather, right? This is done at the House of Lords. So she's going into their bedroom. She hears the door behind her.
And she thinks it's Riot.
Like, did you see Sarah's?
I knew it wasn't going to be.
Turns around. Oh, absolutely. I was like, that ain't him. And then who would it be?
I was so scared.
Who is a fucking instigator this entire book, and yet you keep falling for it. He has done this to her how many times?
Right?
This probably is the most pissed off I got in the book.
He tells her, you know that he married you to get back at me. A, she knew that. B, he tells her, why do you think you weren't getting calls from anybody? He put an app on your phone and he blocks who he needs to when he needs to.
And he can listen to your calls.
He can listen to your calls. He can see what you look up. That's how he knew about the breath play. And he has a tracker on you on your phone.
Oh,
She knew he was crazy.
And
she says, how do you know this?
Well, and he tells her, and he paid $500,000 for you.
Oh, yeah. And he tells her he paid $500,000 for you.
Well, she's like, how do you know this?
And he says, because we all do it to all of our chosen. Why did you get mad? And why did you get mad enough to leave?
Why not ask your husband, who has done nothing but tell you
The truth when he could. When he could, he'd tell you the truth. Why? I don't understand why she was mad, though. Like, if they all do it to all of their chosens, first of all. Secondly, you knew that Matt, what the fuck was I saying? Oh, you knew he was marrying you to keep you from Matt, and it was a part of a revenge plan for him. You knew that. Why did the $500,000 thing bother you too? Why do you care that he paid for you? At least he cared enough to buy you.
And she says, well, how do you know that? His response is, because I offered 50.
So he outbid him by a lot. Why are you mad? I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Let me go find my husband so I can fuck him and thank him.
She's mad because she thought that Ryan had feelings for her and that he wanted her, but then she just finds out that once again, she was just tricked by all of this. And I'm like, again, you knew all this, like you just said. When I say I was so pissed off, I was so pissed off. This pissed me off so much. It made no sense. I understand why the author did it.
But let's have a real issue.
Let's be realistic. Like, let's let her ask him and then they fight about it and him not want to tell her or deny it. Like, let there be a legit reason for her to leave, because her asking him questions and then him actually answering them and her getting pissed off at the answer. And this is her go-to. She constantly gets pissed off at stupid shit all the time. Pisses me off. But then she leaves. And here's another question. So,
my question is, why did she believe that?
Yes, because it all makes sense. I understand why she believed him, because it all made sense, and he wasn't lying to her. So it did make sense why she believed him, but he manipulates you. And he's manipulated you ever since you've known him, and you know this. So why are you believing him without asking your husband? Your husband, who hasn't lied to you.
Okay.
But he says, he kisses her or hugs, gives her a kiss on the cheek. Or he's like, I'm sorry, I just thought you should know the man you married. And then walks away. And then this is another thing, an answered question right here. She says, I know I only have one call to use. Who did you call? Who did she call to get away? She says, I have one chance. It never explains who she called.
I didn't realize she made a call. I thought she just said, I have one chance to get away.
She says, I have one chance to get away. And then it says that she picks up her phone and she makes a call. I know she ends up calling him, which again doesn't make sense because it's an unknown number. He answers it and he's like, where are you? And she says, not there. And he says, I'll find you. I already told you that when I do, I will drag you back by your hair kicking and screaming. Don't make me hurt you. And she said, you can't find what you can't track. And then hangs up because her phone, her ring, and her purse that she had
are in his room.
Yeah, but she's nowhere to be found. And then she makes a call on an unknown number.
Yeah, it doesn't explain how she ever got away. Because I'm like, how did he let you out of his sight for that long?
Again, doesn't make sense.
Plot hole.
Yeah. And then, she rounds up at this random bar. She's a server.
She just got a job out of nowhere.
An underage bar server, by the way.
She's 21.
No, she's not.
How is she buying alcohol at a bar?
She's underage. I know that because it says at the end when her mom's like, and how do you think you got that job with Jennifer underage?
So maybe she's 20 because I don't think she's 18 because she's a junior.
How did she end up in a bar randomly? It doesn't make sense. The plot holes don't make sense. But anyways, so fast forward and it's 3 weeks and she's working at some random bar that we have no idea how she got there. She's just very grateful to Janet because she hired her without any experience. And she has this table and she's getting hit on. She has no cell phone, no car. She's living off the grid, if you would. My thing is, I don't know how comfortable I would be to be left alone. She offers her boss or whoever she's working with that she'll close up and she'll take care of everything. But she has a problem with one of the guys at the bar that he keeps hitting on her even though she's saying no or whatever. So at the end of the shift, she's going out taking the trash out. Surprise! There's somebody waiting for her. And then surprise even more, right before the guy rapes and kills her, Riot shows up.
Shocker.
I know, right? Like, didn't see that one coming. So Riot shows up, slits his throat. Then they handcuff her and toss her back in the bar and shove her over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all of them are going to do her. No, he just holds her down. That's it.
She said, oh my God, all of them are going to do her.
Yeah.
Because you read a review that said that he let his friends have her. And I was like, that can't be right. Because this man is like, you touch her, you die? Ain't no way.
Yes. And a lot of times I don't read the reviews.
You were like, I think she gets raped. There's so many reviews about the rape. But then I was like, no, she just got a kink.
Yeah, this is completely different. So anyways, he drugs her again.
Again, because he shoves it in her mouth and she's like trying to spit it out. And he's like, Blakely, you either swallow it or it dissolves in your mouth. Either way, it still affects you. And she's like, fuck. She just swallows it. God damn it, he's drugging me again.
She's back. She's mad. Questions are being asked.
Well, he saw Matt manipulate her in his room. And so he's literally like, why did you let him manipulate you? You knew he was pissed because I got you and he didn't. And why did you leave? Why didn't you come to me and ask questions?
Her dad's there. Her dad's like, do you have any idea what you've done? And she said, me? She's like, you sold me. And then her father's like, I didn't take a penny for you. And she's like, huh? What?
But Matt said, why'd you listen to him?
She finds out that Riot did offer money, but her father didn't accept, that she was only supposed to be a chosen, but Riot wanted to marry her and Matt was starting trouble. She has to be initiated as a lady. If she refuses, she dies and she cannot have a divorce. She later apologizes and they fucking realize that he killed to save her, blah, blah. Dad is like, you were only supposed to be a chosen. I told Riot that was his first assignment, that he had to choose you. And instead, he chose to marry you. You should be thanking him.
And I told him that if he wanted to marry you, it had to be your choice.
She's still pissed off.
Didn't Riot tell them to leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just tells him to leave, like, just give us a minute. Let me talk some sense into my fucking non-common sense ass wife.
And because he can see it in her face that things are starting to, like, I guess, absorb.
Yeah.
And she's still covered in blood. She's still got the guy's blood all over her. He gets her into the shower and they take a shower. And as she's like super quiet and he's like, I don't like this.
This was one of their first very raw, tender moments. This is where you see him
taking care of her, like
taking care of her like you want him to do.
Yeah.
You see him soften even more for her.
This is when she apologizes.
Thank you for saving me. I'm sorry for running.
He tells her while they're before the shower scene, because what overwhelmed her too is that they were saying that she had to be initiated as a lady. And she's like, what the fuck does that mean? And you can't get a divorce. Why would you do that? She's like, I don't want to join your stupid secret society. I don't want to sacrifice anything for you because I don't want to be with you. And this is when he was like, none of that matters. Nothing you want matters. And then after the shower scene, they're sleeping and they have intercourse, whatever. And she wakes up and she's stretching and feeling for him, but she can't feel for him. So she gets up and she walks out and he's sitting in the living room drinking scotch. And she's like, I've never seen him drink before.
He was so fucked up over what they were about to do to her that he had to drink alcohol, which he never does.
So he said, earlier in the shower made me realize I've gone fucking soft on you, Blake. Know why? Because you cried. Because another man tried to hurt you. That's what I'm trying to protect you from. I should be your greatest threat, but instead I'm falling in love with you. And he says, I'm going to give you what you want. Here. And he gives her like signed divorce papers because he's like, I'm done.
I was like, my heart was ripped out. I was like, no, he's not. Why? What? I was like, it had to have something to do with the Lords or something. I was like, there's no way he just like 90 turn right there. You knew you had feelings.
So he like ends up throwing the glass, like he's trying to start stuff with her and he's like, get your stuff and get out. And she's like, no. But he storms out. He leaves.
I bet he was so scared.
He did. He thought that she might.
He says later how scared he was that she was going to sign them.
But so she sits down and she's like, it's my out. I've got it. And then she's like, no, giving him a divorce. She's like, no, fuck him. He's not getting away that easily. So she throws the divorce papers in the fire.
And then Cindy's there trying to kill her, but she says she's coming to fuck Riot because who do you think he's been fucking for the past 3 weeks? Aw, bitch. Oh, bitch. Hell no. You don't
She's
got
in like a
fucked
trench
up.
coat. She's like, you're fucking lying. And she's like, no. And then she like snaps. Again, doesn't make sense with who she is, but she can snap and take this bitch out.
And we know she's a tiny girl. Hence why he calls her the little one. We don't know how big Cindy is, but you have never fought in your life. You're telling me you can, scrap with this bitch and hog tie her ass up.
Exactly. Yeah. Later, she's sitting on the couch in her trench coat, waiting on him to get home. And did you feel like this was realistic, I guess you can say? Her instigating with him? Like, I fucked 2 different people while we were not together. Like,
yeah, because while she knew he hadn't fucked anyone else, I think there was a part of her that was scared he did. So she's like, well, I'm gonna make sure he didn't. Let me piss him off and see what he does. They fight, and he's like, I never fucked anyone else, and you better be fucking lying too.
Yeah. Well, so when they're fucking or whatever, like when he's about to get off, she goes to say, I'm not on my, and she went to say birth control, and he gags her.
He knew what she was going to say. He just didn't care.
And then this is when his dad shows up, because she walks out. She's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And he says, I'm just here to congratulate you, saying that you passed your first initiation. She's like, what? And then she's pissed off again. And her dad is also there. Oh, so I just thought it was funny. I thought it was really funny because she's like, oh, shit. But
she says something really...
They won't tell her
towards his dad, and then he's like, I'm Mr. Archer, and she's like, oh, fuck. But then he compliments her, and he's like, you've got some fight. I like that. You need to
fight. I was gonna say fire, but yeah, it was fight. But they start talking about the initiation and getting tested because she's like, I want to know everything. He's like, you're not doing the test. And she's like, yes, I am. I want to know everything that's going on. And so they kind of
I guess there are levels of initiation, like they have options on how much power they want to know. So based on that is how many levels of initiation
that's how I took it.
Okay. Because I didn't think there were options. I thought based on the power your Lord has is what you go through to get. I mean, regardless.
Yeah, he was like, you've already proven yourself. I'm not going to risk your life, because I guess their initiation, of course, can be dangerous too.
So then she's like, what was that bitch Cindy sent for? Like, I get the divorce papers. I get why you're testing me on the divorce papers, but why'd you send Cindy?
She asked his dad about Cindy, and he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, Cindy, she showed up here. Where is her body? I know it was right there in the hallway. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so she just like kind of brushes it off. She's like, okay.
But my thing is, they didn't know about Cindy. So why did they see her tied up, and why did they take her to the closet? Riot
had her dad help him take Cindy to that out basement thingy that he has. Later on, after his dad leaves and her dad leaves, she said, where is Cindy?
And he didn't want to show her, and she's like, no, I want
He's like,
to
there's
know.
some things that you might not be able to get over. And she said, wouldn't you rather have a wife who knows who you really are and chooses to stay than one who pretends you're someone else?
Right. And she has a fucking point.
And he's like, okay.
Touché. Come on.
And she's confused. She's like, why is she here? Like, why did you do this to her? And he empties the contents of
the bag.
And there's a needle. And she's like, what? She's like, she was here to kill you.
She wasn't here to have sex with me because we've never had sex. She was here to kill you, or she was here to hurt you in some way.
And this is when she finds out that Matt set all of this stuff up. That Matt has set up a lot of stuff. He finds out that Matt knows where he lives. He finds out that Matt's been watching them, that he knew about everything. And he has a video that does not make Riot very happy.
Why send Cindy when you know she's weak, and if they catch her, she's gonna spill all your secret.
But it was a little morbid. They sat there. I mean, he kills Cindy, and she turned on.
Because
she's like, this shouldn't turn me on, but it does.
Yeah, it was very
I
morbid.
want my wife's face to be the last thing that you see. And I'm like,
and she's standing there. You think she's like gonna go into shock. No. What does she do? She goes and jumps his bones. Ma'am, y'all just had sex right next to a dead body. Not just a dead body, a dead body that is dead because your husband killed it. Ma'am. I was like, oh, this is unhinged right
Cindy's
now.
just over there.
Yeah. And they're fucking. I'm like, damn, this is so unhinged.
Yes.
I love it.
And then she's like, well, what are we gonna do? He's like, go back to the house and pack a bag. And she's like, what are we gonna do about Cindy? And he says, I'll take care of it. And she's like, no,
I'll help you. I want to help.
help. So they show up at the cathedral, and she's like, what is this? Because they're in a graveyard. They're in the cemetery. And he's like, it's a cemetery?
This is where you bury dead people.
She's like, well, won't people know? And he's like, no, it's a private cemetery. This is where the Lord's chosen ones and ladies are buried here. And then he says, well, that's not the total truth. It's more complicated than that. And she's just kind of like,
what?
Continue. And he says, mostly members who betray their oath. But if a member has to kill someone, they too are buried here. If a member dies of natural causes, then they are buried wherever they want.
How many bodies are out here?
She does ask, how many of these have you done? And he said 7. How many are women? This is the first.
Yeah.
Somebody pops their head out and says, we're ready for you. Ashley. So Prickett or Gunn or whoever takes Blakely inside and sits down, and there's all of these lords. And the next thing you see is Riot up there, where, this is where they do the chosen one, because it's the pool's up there, the baptism pool. Anyways, Riot's up there, and Ashley, of all people, are up there. And I kind of feel bad for Ashley in the sense that she was also really manipulated by Matt by saying that Blakely was a stalker and obsessed with Matt, and she just went right along with it. And he's like, I already know. You're going to tell me. She's like, I'm not telling you nothing. In the first cut, she's like, blah, 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 blah. Like a turkey that wouldn't shut up.
This is what he did. He used Ashley to hang Matt. This is how he showed his proof of Matt's disloyalty.
Yes, this was the way that he was able to get the lords to allow him to seek revenge, because Matt specifically went after a lord's wife. So he kills Ashley in the same pool that Matt almost drowned her in.
Ironic.
Fitting end. So after they leave the cathedral, they go to Blackout because Riot's like, his house is compromised because Matt has been watching them. He won't go back. So they go to Blackout, Tyson's club. She doesn't meet Tyson yet. This I just thought was so sweet, because Riot is, I can see you, touch you, and kiss you. I can love you. Blakely, Ray, Archer are my heaven. Because she's like, do you believe in heaven and hell? And I'm like, love you, you psychopath. She also realizes, because she's thinking back at the club and all, she's like, you were there. And she finds out that he killed the 2 guys at the club for talking to them. And she's like, why did you kill them? All he did was talk to us. And he said they were planning on doing way more to you and Sarah. And she said, did you find that out before or after?
Or after.
And he
After,
said,
but that's the side.
Yeah, he's like, after. It's like, she said, you just can't kill people just because they talk to us. He said,
yes, I can.
yes, I can. He goes, how many secrets are you keeping from me? I don't keep count.
And Blakely's just like, fair enough. You're like, wait, I'm getting whiplash. Which one?
Okay. So they walk in, and Tyson is once again getting a blowy, and she is,
should we let them, finish? Riot's like, no.
She's also getting turned on by it.
Yeah. And Riot's like, no, it's fine. He likes an audience. And then she's just like, eyes on them, just watches.
Tyson is treating the girl like garbage.
Oh, yeah.
And then afterwards, he's like, good girl. And Blakely's like,
forgot about that. She's like, it's okay. It's fine. He called her a good girl. It makes it bad. Okay, I'll put a Band-Aid on it.
They've been there for 3 days and they're both getting stir crazy. And he invites Sarah to come and tell Sarah to bring her a dress because she doesn't really have any clothes. And he's not too happy with the dress, but he doesn't say anything, wants to get her mind off her initiation. So they're on the dance floor. She gets her message. He gets his message and he tells Ty to look out for her. Now, she hadn't met Ty yet. She meets him after this. So it's super early in the morning and she's sleeping and her phone's going off and she's getting pissed. Eventually she answers it and it's Riot on the phone. And he says, do you want to be my good girl? And she's like, ready. Okay. And she comes down. The club is closed. The lights are on. She ends up finding him. And he tells her to get on her knees, open her mouth. And he puts a ball gag in her mouth.
It's open. Like it
is a ball gag that is hollow on the inside. It took me a minute to realize this.
He says later on, there's an opening.
Yeah. The O-ring fits behind her teeth. And then he tightens it. She is trying to swallow. She realizes that she can't swallow very easily. So she's drooling. She's trying to suck it up. And he's wanting her to be covered in her drool. And that grosses me. So he is doing this because she has, and I didn't even really realize this, that she only sucked his dick once.
Yeah, in the pool.
Yeah, that's it.
Which I wouldn't even say she did it. Like he just fucked her mouth. He just fucked her mouth.
That was it.
Yeah. She just kept her mouth open for him to fuck her mouth.
So and that's O-ring.
All he did.
So this O-ring ball gag is to train her. And train her, he does.
I was like, I'm down for a lot of things. That's not one of them. I don't want that in my mouth. I'd just rather not. And this bitch over here is like, yeah, I'll do it. I think I'd rather you spit in my mouth before.
Too far.
I don't want my mouth held open with that.
So he proceeds to teach her, and then they, again, screw, because that's all they do in this book. Fast forward, it's the night of her initiation. He is called in for a mandatory meeting.
My question was, if she's having her initiation, why was there some random meeting right before?
Thank you. I thought the same thing. So he leaves, but he tells her, I will be back. Don't worry. She's in the club and she's trying to wait on her target. And Sarah pops up and she's like, what are you doing here? I brought your car back. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. So they go out to her car. Why they went out to her car, I can't remember.
I don't remember either. I know that Sarah had to go back in because she left her phone.
I guess she wants to see her car. I have no idea. But on the way out to the car, Sarah's like, I forgot my phone. And I'm not going to lie. I was like, is Sarah in on it?
Same.
So she's like, let's get in the car and I'll drive you to the front door. You can run in and get your phone.
I'm pretty sure that she wasn't paying attention and he got in the front seat and she thought it was Sarah getting in and it was Matt.
You're right.
And then he commences to just smash in her face in the steering wheel.
Yeah, I want Riot to know that if I wanted to take you, I could take you. And you tell him, come find me. And then Sarah comes out and she's screaming, oh my gosh, help, help, call 911. Tyson comes up and he's like, oh shit.
I fucked it.
Yes. He's hollering at Sarah. Sarah doesn't even know who Tyson is. Here's my keys. My car's right there. She's in the hospital for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That is how hard this mug smashed her head into the steering wheel. Bust a nose. And I'm like, that's it?
She had some contusions, I think. She had some broken bones in her face.
Did she?
And I think so. And I think she had a little bleed.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I can remember that. But anyways, when she's in the hospital, her dad's there. And this is when she finds out the truth from her dad. That the woman that Matt tried to rape in the very beginning of the book was her birth mother.
Valerie was not her mom.
And his dad's there too. And they're like, Riot, what happened?
Yeah.
This is your chance. What happened? And Riot's like, I'm not a snitch. I told you what happened. I'm not saying anymore. And he's like, we need to know what happened. You want to put Matt away? This is how you do it. He's like, no.
Matt's already got a hit on him because he's tried to kill Blakely now.
Blakely is saying, please make him leave. And he's like, do you want to get out or do you want me to make you get out? Because you're leaving. She doesn't talk to her dad for, I think he shows up, but she doesn't ever talk to him.
Maybe so.
But Riot says, do you want to know about the assignment? And she said, you just said that you wouldn't tell them. And he said, I'll tell you anything you ask me. And I don't think she says she didn't.
She doesn't even ask. She asked something else.
He said, do you have any questions for me? And she said, about what? About the night Matt and I had our assignment. You said you wouldn't rat him out. I'll tell you anything. Anything? That was probably the wrong answer. You said it. Okay, anything. Tell me about the night you went to jail.
And that's when she was like, oh my God, you just had the living shit beat out of you. You came to me. I tried to kick you out of my apartment and I thought you were sleeping with other women. She gets out of the hospital. He takes her home and she tries to have sex with him. And he's like, no, ma'am, you just got out of the hospital. And she's like, what? Are you going soft on me? He's like,
He says, I've always been a selfish person, Blake, willing to do whatever it takes to get where I want to be. And out of all the things I've done, you are by far the greatest reward for my selfishness. Everything's gone quiet about Matt. Nobody can find him. They have all this power, but nobody can find him.
I think he's hiding with his dad.
It's been real quiet. So let's have a Halloween party where a bunch of people are going to be around.
It's
in
the Lord's
costumes.
party. The Lords are going to continue on as they continue on.
I know. But why are you going to one knowing this guy keeps coming up every time there's a gathering? And it's
But he doesn't.
It's Halloween. That's dumb.
He doesn't show up for 6 weeks after the Halloween party.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's dumb. But nothing happens. They go to the party. Well, I take that back. Something does happen. Because this is when you find out that she is a voyeur. She also likes to watch people.
Yes, this is when they're not even at the party very long, but she steps out for some fresh air. And oh, lo and behold, she follows Tyson and this girl out to the woods. And she's watching them. He makes her kneel down, puts her hands behind her back, and ties her to the tree. And Tyson must really like blowjobs. Because what does he do? He fucks her mouth. And Blakely just watches. And then when at the point she decides,
hey, well, it needs to be noted that her mouth wasn't wet enough, so he proceeded to spit in it beforehand.
I forgot about that, but yeah, you did. So Blakely decides, oh, I should not be watching this. They're going to see me. I should go back inside. She turns around and Riot is there. And he's like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to give them some privacy. Just watch them. Watch him fuck her mouth while I play with your card.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So they go home and they have sex in front of the fireplace.
This is when they go back to the cabin.
I've gotten all new cameras and I've been watching them and it seems safe. On the floor in front of the fireplace. And as they're laying there, she's looking at his brand and she's basically telling him, I want you to know how committed I am because after her last attempt of initiation, the Lords decided she didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So I want you to know how committed I am to you and how committed I am to the Lord. I want to be branded.
Yeah.
And she's like, does it hurt? And he's like, well, it didn't feel good. And so he brands her, which I was like,
doesn't want
wow. Yeah. So he brands her, and then it like jumps to 6 weeks later. She's saying, we've really fallen into a married couple routine. Life is as normal as it's gonna get. They're walking in, having a conversation, and is sitting there in their living room.
She says something about, we need to get together with Sarah and Gunnar. Matt's like, it's a party.
It's a party. I was like, oh, fuck. Here we go. And here we went. He shot him.
He wasn't even going for Riot.
No, he was going for Blakely. Like, if I can't have her, nobody can.
And this is like, okay, turn of events.
Yeah, okay.
When did this switch?
I almost wondered if he shot for Blakely knowing Riot was going to jump in front of her so that he could kidnap her. But anyways, he shoots Riot
4 times.
Yes. And Blakely's like, oh my God, why did you do that? And he says, you think that I'd kill for you but not die for you? Silly girl.
Rip my heart out.
Excuse you.
Who said you could grow a heart?
I was like, don't cry. Don't cry, you bitch. Don't cry.
My eyes were watery, but they did not cry.
So when Matt kidnapped her, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad.
She heard a voice, but she couldn't
place it.
Yeah, place who the voice belonged to. It was a female voice.
So I immediately knew it was her mom. And I was like, you raised her from a child and you have so little love for her, you're fucking evil cunt. Her mom's plan is still for Matt to marry her. And when she wakes up, she's vomiting, and he's like, well, duh, you need to eat something. You've been out for 2 days and you've got drugs in your system. And her mom's like, that's not what the problem is. She's pregnant. And Blakely's like, oh God, I suspected it, but I hadn't confirmed it yet. But she got pregnant the night of Halloween. She went to tell Riot, I'm not on my birth control, and he covered her mouth. So that was the night she got pregnant, and she's 6 weeks along because it says it's 6 weeks later. And so Matt is gonna kill the baby, and her mom's like, no. And he's like,
he goes to
do
kick
you want
her.
an Archer baby? And she's like, yeah, I need a second chance. Fuck nah, bitch. I'm gonna cut it out of her. You're gonna what?
She said, you're not taking my baby. I won't let you. And she said, I don't care if I have to fucking cut it out of you. And Matt can have what's left. Excuse me, what?
Right? So then we switch back to Riot, and thank God we switched so we didn't have to panic for that long. And he's in the hospital, and he can't find Blakely. There's like, Matt took her. He freaks out, tries to get up, and they do what? They shoot him back with some drugs, not even giving him a chance. But the next time he wakes up, thankfully, they listen to him.
He's strapped down.
Both of their dads are there, and I need my phone. They're like, no, give me my fucking phone.
I can't say what I want to say because I don't want to get drugged again. And I'm like, oh, how funny is that? You don't want to be drugged?
Doesn't feel good, does it? So they finally give him his phone. He's like, I know where she is. I've had a tracker put in her. And they're like, you did what? And she ran from me once. She wasn't going to do it again. Do you want to save her or not? But also, she's pregnant.
So then her dad immediately goes over and starts unstrapping him. And his dad's like, what are you doing? You heard it. She's pregnant.
We're going to get my baby and her baby.
We out.
The next time we switch back to Blakely, Matt is coming in her room and cornering her. He's like, I'm about to fuck you. But my mom said, you can't touch me. And he said, fuck your mom. She's not here. We're about to play out your rape fantasy. And she's like, it's called forced sex.
Yeah, he's tended to be repulsed by your fixation of being raped.
So then he's like, you can run. Or I'll just rape you right now.
You're not touching me. I'm not doing that. He slams her against something. And then he's like, well, then we'll just do it right here. And she's like, no, I want to play. I want to play.
Yeah. So she runs. He's like, I give you, what did he say, 10 minutes?
10 minutes head start.
And she runs. And then he's like, and oh, by the way, everything's padlocked and all the windows are bulletproof. But she runs. And then finally we switch back and Riot and her dad are sneaking into the house through the tunnels. And guess what? They find out that Valerie is involved. What the fuck? Riot's, what are you waiting on? Drug the bitch and put her in the trunk. And Phil's just done. He can't believe his wife has done this.
You can't?
So he does. He drugs her and puts her in the car. Let's switch back to Blakely. She is being beat by Matt, right? He catches her and he hits her. And then she hears a voice and she's like, I know that voice, but I don't know who it is. And it's Tyson. I was like, oh shit, Tyson's in on it.
Same.
I know that Riot made the call to someone and I figured he was calling Tyson, but he played it off so well that he fooled me. I was like, Tyson's fucking in on it.
Same.
Because when he was like, I watched them have sex at Blackout.
That's
I
what
was
she
like,
prefers.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, she's fucking in on it. And then he says something about the shit you pulled at Blackout, Matt, when he came and beat her head into the steering wheel. He's like, I knew you'd like that. And I was like, he really fucking hit on it. And it wasn't until he snatched her up and slipped something in her pocket that I realized. And he let her run. He's like, you got 5 minutes. He let her run. And I was like, oh, he's not in it. He's not in it. We're good. We're good. But then she runs into Riot.
Riot comes up behind her,
grabs her, and holds her mouth closed. And she, what the fuck, you're dead? And he's like, no, bitch, I'm not. I'm standing right in front of you.
Yeah, he's like, stay hidden.
Yeah, stay hidden. And but Tyson's out there too. And he's like, no, Tyson.
Matt's asking questions. And because he's not falling for it. He is, but he isn't. He's like, you're not touching her.
And he said, how did you even get in?
Yeah.
And that's when Riot walked out because he knew that Matt wasn't falling for it. They were hoping that he'd be so surprised that he was there that he wouldn't question how he got there.
Yeah.
Or how he knew where he was either.
But then Matt's dad shows up. And so Riot and Matt are fighting. And Tyson and Matt's dad are fighting. So she goes out.
As she's coming down the hallway, she hears a gunshot.
Yeah. When she enters the room, she sees Tyson and what she recognized as Mr. Winston, and Tyson is shooting him in the face, and Matt's like,
"Sir." As Tyson said, "I don't know what you did, and all I have to know is that the Lords wanted you dead, and if they want you dead, you're already dead." And so he just shoots him. And that's when Matt was like, "You might as well just fucking kill me too." And they're like, "No."
This is when Blakely is watching Matt do the same thing that she did with Riot, and she's like, huh, funny how that works. This scene just played out with me and Riot, and now you're here with your dad who's missing half his face. She's not repulsed by it. She's like, kill him.
But no, they don't. I'm like, why are you not killing him? But I'm like, you just killed his dad. Why not just kill Matt too?
I understand why they don't want to kill Matt. Riot said that he's going to hang him in the cathedral for all to see. But don't they burn him, Matt's dad?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think so.
But Tyson patches up Riot because he's done blowing his stitches.
Yeah, they get on the plane, and she's honestly got a light stomach because you can watch them kill someone, but you can't watch him cauterize some wounds on his back.
Well, I mean, it's her husband. She loves him. I get that. The feelings are going to be different. But after Riot passes out, she has that conversation with Tyson about his chosen. He's only 3 years older than Riot. He said, you know why I chose this one? He's like, I had a plan and I was supposed to be up there in the business world, but my only stipulation was I get to choose my wife. And she finds out that his chosen, and this might be wrong, but what I gather from it was that he wasn't able to protect his chosen from a stalker. And the stalker killed his chosen, and he wasn't able to protect her. I think he was in love with his chosen.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Okay. Later on, they get back, and she tells Riot when he wakes up in the hospital, she shows him an ultrasound picture and tells him he can't go off, that they need him. And he's like, they? Who's they?
He said, who's we?
She's like, who's we? And me, I'm like, you and the baby?
Right? Because you already know she's pregnant.
Yeah. And when she said we're having twins, I was like, oh my gosh.
I did not expect her to be pregnant with twins.
That's
they
right.
screw in the hospital room the day he gets discharged. And then he sticks a vibrator in her to wear in her panties. And she's like, what is this for? And he says, oh, this is for fun. We're going to play. And so he uses it on her all the way to...
No, he fucks her, but doesn't let her come. And then sticks the thing inside her.
And he's like, we're going to play. I'm on the way to blackout. So she comes like tons of times in the car. So they make their way into the basement and she sees Matt sitting there. He says, give me your panties. But she's like, why? He's like, just do it. I was dying when he showed
Tyson is there spraying him down.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta look good for your company.
So he shoves those panties in his mouth and throws that duct tape on top. And I'm like, nuh-uh.
And he's gagging. At this point, he's like gagging, which didn't make sense to me. You think it's just panties that came off of her and it disgusts you?
He's like, well, if you're disgusted that it's her cum, just FYI, I fucked her earlier and it's my cum too.
Well, he said, since you've been dying for a taste, I thought I'd give you one last meal. Then he said, before I made her come multiple times, I made sure I fucked her before we left. So she's been leaking my cum. He's gagging to the point that he's trying to hold his vomit down. If I was Matt, let me vomit and suffocate myself. Because what's going to happen to you is going to be so much worse. They leave, and it says, Sunday night, I sit on the couch inside of the office at the cathedral. Riot silently sits at the desk when a soft knock comes at the door. We're ready for you. So they go down, and this is when you see Matt. So Matt is hanging up for his execution pretty much. Riot has this big speech planned, and then he says, Matt, if you're not going to talk, that's fine, because she will. So you see Phil, Blakely's dad, dragging Valerie out.
That's right.
And Valerie is saying, he killed her. It was his idea. Matt's like, shut the fuck up, Valerie. She's trying to persuade them that she's innocent. He wasn't supposed to kill her. She wasn't supposed to die. I just found out that you were talking to her. And Phil's like, oh, really? And then you hear heels clicking to find out that Leanne is alive. And Leanne pretty much outs her, saying that you put the hit on me. This was your plan. You were going to kill me. And Blakely's just there shocked.
Because Leanne had put the hit on her own husband, and Matt volunteered to go do that assignment with Riot. So Valerie had put the hit on Leanne through Matt. That's why he was going to kill her. Well, he was going to rape her and kill her. But yeah.
And she tells Blakely to come up there to the podium, and she gives her the knife, and Riot's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm giving my daughter what she wants. And Valerie is Valerie. I'm not exactly sure the wording that she says. All I know is that Blakely wasn't going to do it until she said
that baby
was hers and she deserved her baby. And she guts her from the stomach up and kills Valerie. And she's just stone still. Riot's had enough. He's like, everyone out. Matt's still alive, by the way. Leanne had come up when she was doing her announcements of the coming into the world. She stabbed Matt in the balls or the pecker. So he's still hung up like a lamb. And Riot's had enough. He's like, everyone out. Leanne seemed to have a lot of power because she's mouthing and everyone's just listening and in awe of her. But she ends up leaving. Phil had to drag her out. Everyone leaves. It's just Blakely and Riot and Matt. And Riot ends up taking her and they leave. And whoever kills Matt. Like, I'm done. I need to take my wife.
Tyson feels him.
They're back at the house and calm down. Everything's calmed down now. And he comes in and he says he had to go out of town. He comes back and he tells Blakely, I had a meeting with Gregory Mallory and I cashed in my favor because everyone assumed that he was going to go to New York to become a judge or an attorney. But Gregory Mallory is a judge in Pennsylvania. So he said, we're going to stay here. And she's ecstatic. So they stay there 10 years. He'll be a judge. So they don't have to move to New York.
Riot's gone somewhere. It's 10 weeks later. And she goes to her dad's house.
Immediately, he's gone.
To her dad's office because Leanne wanted to talk to Blakely. And she's like, what do you want? And what does she even want?
She wanted to tell her the truth, to tell her why she left.
That's right. So I wanted to tell you what happened, why I left. And she basically tells her she had her own assignment. So she had to leave her dad and go marry this other lord. And the assignment took so long that
she got tired of waiting.
Missed her entire life. And she got tired of waiting and she put the hit on her own husband. But that was when Riot and Matt came to kill him. She knew they were coming and she heard Matt saying that he was going to rape her. And that's when she jumped up and killed herself.
Yeah, you also find out that her and Phil were married their senior year. So they were legally married.
Yeah, they were legally married, but she was sent on an assignment to marry someone else. We don't know why.
Yeah, and she tells her that she's going to be just like her. You live for the Lord's. This is your life. You'll have your own assignments. She's like, I will never leave my children. I'm never going to be like you. She's like, you already are.
And my children will never be a part of the Lord's. And she's like, you can't control it. It's just going to happen. And she's like, no, I will never let my children be a part of it.
Yeah. And she's like, you've already proven that you would do anything. And the power that they have over you, because she was talking about the kids, you proved that when you killed Valerie. She's like, no, I won't. And she proceeds to slap her and then she leaves and it ends. But then you get epilogues 18 years later.
They have the twins, Rain and Royal. And then they have a daughter named Ryan.
Rain and Royal are 18. They're fixing to start college. Ryan is 17 and she is looking at colleges. And you see that her and Blakely just came back from looking at Stanford.
But the boys are going to Barrington.
Yes.
I thought it was hilarious how Riot was like, boys, you know you're not supposed to have hoes in the house. And they're like, I
only have one. He's got two.
Yeah. He's like, they better be gone before your mom gets home. You know she doesn't like that under our roof. Because he's like, we're open with our kids about sex. And we know they have sex, but Blakely doesn't like them to do it in the house.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's okay. They're gone. They're not here anymore.
Well, they will be in 2 minutes.
Oh my God. Had me dying.
What had me dying is when Blakely comes home, the boys want to talk to you. And she's like, well, does it have anything to do with the two girls driving down the driveway and the one that I seen escaping out the back side door?
But he's like, no, I think it's Rain wants to be a part of the Lord. And she's like, no, absolutely not. And then Ryan comes in. She's like, Mom, I'm going to school. And then the boys come in and they're like, we're going to school. And she's like, we'll talk when you get home. Because only one of the boys wants to be a part of the Lord's. The other one doesn't want anything to do
It's
with
like,
it.
why would I want that? Why would I want to have to do all that and them control me like that? Because he said, both of them have said that they have been as open and honest about the Lord
As they could
as they
be.
possibly could. So they're going in with definitely an open mind of what is.
They know that the Lord's control their entire lives. They know what it's about. They know how evil the world can be. And so Riot's like, we have to let them make their own decisions. And Blakely's like, I don't want them a part of this. Like, they could die.
Then Riot hits her with that low blow and was like, he feels the same way about the Lords as you did about Stanford. And she's like, that was a low blow. Mine was educational.
Doesn't he say something to her like, you know, Blakely, if it wasn't for the Lords, we wouldn't be married? And she's like, yeah, I guess.
They say they fought so many times over the years over it. And I'm thinking, her and Tyson had a conversation about the fighting and not to do it and all that stuff. And I don't understand. You went through all of this. You wanted to be branded to show your commitment to them and to Riot. Why are you still fighting over it?
Because of her love for Riot, but I think they were fighting over whether they were going to let the boys be a part of it, not the Lords themselves, the society itself being a part of it themselves.
The way I took it is that they have fought throughout the years when it came to the Lords in general.
That's not how I took it. I thought it was their decision on what they were going to let the boys do, because it was all about the kids.
Interpretation.
Yeah. So I freaking love the ending, and I hope that we get a book on the boys and what they decide to do.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of hoping to get a book on Ryan. I want to see if she's, as kinky as her mama is.
Hey,
I think she might be the dominant one.
she did tell them boys off.
She's like, I'm 17. I know what sex is.
Right? I loved it. It was a good ending.
Definitely recommend. Don't overthink. Just go with it.
This concludes the podcast for The Ritual. Next week, we will be doing Credence, and that should be a wild ride. Okay, bye.
Bye.